What's up, everybody? Brett here, and I'm back today with another 2v2. This time, not small funds. It's going to be a Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer battle, of course. I'm going to be playing as Bretonnia. My ally is the Empire. We're up against the Skaven and the Dark Elves, so kind of a good guy versus bad guy scenario. The map is the Moon Dial, a very unique map. A pretty cool one, too, terrain-wise. This huge cliff. Didn't really do anything this battle, but I could see it being interesting in other battles. Let's go ahead and slow-mo it. I have a few things to talk about, a few things to preface. First off, I will say there was some lag this game, probably coming from the Dark Elf player. So, you know, if you see them blob up and do a few things that are weird, that was kind of the issue. And I thought about not casting this game because of that. But, guys, lag happens all the time. I've lagged before when I was on my older computer with my worse internet. A lot of my friends that I play with lag. It happens, right? So you got to deal with it, and you got to try to overcome it. Sometimes it's your team, sometimes it's the enemy team, and how you deal with it is really up to you, right? We recognize, well, I recognize for sure, I wasn't really talking to my ally much this battle, but we were communicating a bit through arrows, but to say that we took full advantage of our opponent's obvious lag was definitely not the case. We have each one artillery piece. I've got a field trebuchet, which is going to rack up a bazillion kills this battle. My ally here has some mortars, likewise going to do some good work, and a Luminarch of Hysh. Not a choice you see very often, but I'm happy to see it. Let's actually take a second to look at the model because it's so cool. Locus rather of Hysh, reduced power recharge rate around self. It's map wide. Man, that's awesome. It's a hex against the enemy. He also has a 12% damage resistance ward save. Really cool. So you can keep your hero units fighting near them and they get a ward save, which is, you know, not nothing. But the whole reason, guys, that I wanted to take this build, the Bretonnian build, was to showcase Gotrek and Felix. So let's take a second to talk about them because they are pretty new. Oh my god, did I lose the dwarf? Oh no. Okay. Where is he? Okay. He's so short. Insert short dwarf jokes here. But no, he's actually enormous. When you consider he's standing next to a Grail Knight. These are Grail Guardians. I put them here because they are the tankiest unit on the Bretonnian roster, and they're going to be a nice kind of buffer for Gotrek, who is here to do anti-large and to take names as he kicks butt. I guess that's what we can say. Let's get onto his model, though. It's so hard when the units are in and amongst each other like this to get onto the right model. There we go. Okay, so Heroic Fortitude. He gets regeneration once he has once he reaches a low threshold of HP. That's Heroic Fortitude. Think like Tyrion. Same deal. Phoenixes, kind of the same thing. Death Blow, we've seen that before. Gotrek's Doom, an amazing self-augment, has a 120-second cooldown, but huge melee defense, 44 and 44% ward save. And then the Rune Axe of Gotrek, which gives him armor-piercing damage and weakens your enemy's magic resistance, which isn't always super useful, except for the fact that he does magic attacks. So against another lord, you lower their magic resistance, which most lords come with. He does more damage plus armor piercing. Also, you have to consider the Grail Guardians deal magic damage. So does the Fay Enchantress. And if we hover over Felix, he does not. But Felix's abilities are just as interesting. Kind of look at his model a little bit better. Man, kind of picked a bad time to do this, but I think we need to talk about him before the battle really advances. Helping Hand here, so you can use this on an ally, and it gives them 44% damage resistance and 44 melee attack. So you add that to Gotrek's, and he becomes basically immortal for, 22 seconds. He just won't take physical damage at all, and his melee attack and melee defense will be over 100. He also has Karagul, his demon blade, which does a bonus versus infantry and gives him melee attack. And probably his most important thing is that he has Blood Oath, which has a 30-meter range, so pretty tight, but it gives regen to allies in range as long as they or he is in melee combat. Okay, that was a lot of stuff to go over. We're not missing much. I've got it in slow-mo. My army, pretty standard Bretonnian army, men-at-arms, peasants in the front. I've got some knight errants to act as kind of flanking skirmishers. Knights of the Realm for some anti-large. Very mobile anti-large. And then some spearmen in the back to protect myself from vanguard shenanigans that might come. Or to protect my ally from anything like that. Because he's got a contingent of handgunners. He's protecting them himself. He's doing a good job of that. Kind of has his great swords out on the flank. I like his... He's got these weird, like, blocks. So if our opponents were shooting with these play claw catapults that they have, this would be a terrible formation. They would just insta-die. But in the kind of cramped confines of our starting location, it was a pretty good idea. He's also got a light wizard, so net people down, shoot them with the Luminarch. Good strat. And then, of course, Karl Franz. So that's us. Very quickly, guys. Vanguard deployed, or actually just way out on the flanks and hidden. Dark Riders with shields. The Skaven player and the Dark Elf player need to advance. Some of them are. I think they're a bit, I don't know, thrown off by the Field Trebuchet, which is already up to 36 kills. The mortars just started to fire. It felt like we kind of caught them off guard. And their play claw catapults, despite having huge range, are a bit out of position. So they're feeling like they need to come forward when in reality, I mean, they could probably get the most of this trade. But we'll see what happens. They've got slingers, super cheap. Their Lord choices, which I think are probably the most important here. Lord Skrulk, probably for mass summons and spellcasting. He's got like every single ability on that bad boy. Super not necessary, but we'll see what he does with it. We've got the Assassin here, trophy heads, good at sniping out Lords and lowering stats and melee blobs. We've got some Rat Ogres here. Big and beautiful. Harganeth Executioners, fighting alongside Bleak Swords, Dread Spears. Very unique mix of infantry here. Blackguard of Nagaron. Don't get to see them all the time. And there are, I believe, some stronger infantry on the field here. Yeah, we have Storm Vermin with halberds. Two of those guys protecting the back line. The beautiful War Hydra, as the president would say, the big, beautiful, perfect War Hydra. Look how he looks at us. Man, love it. So, Regen, of course, can spit flame as long as he's not engaged in melee. And Malekith on foot is the Lord choice, way out on the flanks. Very strange. Once again, every single spell has been chosen, which to me is a sign of a newer player. You can cut so much cost by taking off 3-4 spells. And especially on like vampire accounts, dark elves, they already have so much. It's just all redundant. You just don't need it. And at this point, we're going to start firing at some of the juicier blobs. We're kind of circling for each other where we think we should shoot. Let's just get it going. And I think they want to skirmish with us. We'll see whether or not that's a good idea very shortly. May even want to fast forward. But, like I said, a little bit of lag. We could still move. I want to give you a general idea of what the lag was like. We could still move. If I clicked on someone and told them to go here, they would start walking. It was slow, but we were still fighting in real time. It was almost as if we were fighting somewhere between slow motion and play. For a good portion of this, it sped up near towards the end, once a lot of the units got off the battlefield. But it's all about how you deal with it. You know, we have very comparable armies. Two, parabolic arcs, catapult style units, right? Oh, the Luminarch there shot a tiny hill or a tree. Gonna need to relocate. How many kills is it up to? 22. So it got one shot off, I think, into this location. But yeah, it needs this terrain here is very bumpy. And I was pretty smart about putting my peasants forward and recognizing the targeting of my opponent and constantly switching up my own targeting. Right here, I'm actually aiming at the Black Guard, and you see how big of a swing and a miss that is. At some point, I'm going to decide that what we need to do instead is to just shoot into the blobs that our opponents are making. Look at that shot. Oh my god. Yeah. And the play claw catapults, unfortunately for the Skaven player, he's not microing them at all. He's probably trying to micro fix his front lines because his allies' front lines is a little jacked up. And because of that, he's not microing what he's shooting at with the peasant mobs. Big mistake. And in the meantime, I'm moving around with my cav. So I didn't really show that. But I've got both my Knights Errant going around this side. I've got my Knights of the Realm taking the lead position. You can see he's paying attention, the Dark Elf player. He didn't let me get that big charge, that charge bonus. I'm going into right now on all three units. I'm putting them in the special lance formation. And I'm going to go in hard if I can. And if not, you see here the Storm Vermin are looking to screen out the catapults. And I'm going to pull back at the last second. I thought I pulled back at the last second. Oh no, maybe I went too deep. No, I pull out. Okay, I got a little bit of a charge. And then I pull out. In the meantime, these Bleak Swords are going to eat the full force of multiple peasant bowmen. And some of these handgunners here also able to shoot. Man, the Luminarch. Oh my god, that was a deadly shot. How many kills on this bad boy? 152. 152. It went right through like 4 units. And I think he was aiming at Scroll. That's the beautiful thing about the Luminarch. That laser just keeps going. And right now, I just feel like I'm applying enough pressure just by being here. I'm keeping these Storm Vermin back. I'm forcing the opponent to micro in ways they perhaps do not want to. And I felt like that was enough. My allies' front line's a bit jacked up here. I don't like these block formations. They're bad. They're just objectively bad, I think, in most circumstances. Unless you're talking about, like, Thunder or Fire. Now, what he may be doing... Alright, I think I know what he's doing. There's some strategy around making these big holes so that your handgunners can fire through. And in that way, I think he's absolutely correct. But against play claw catapults, if I was my opponent, this whole formation would be like half gone already, instead of just constantly shooting at my men-at-arms. And I'm going to keep running them forward. You know, they're the scapegoat. My archers are now firing into these rat ogres. They're coming in unsupported. We'll charge them back. Yeah, we're happy with that. Fay Enchantress, Grail Guardians are going to get into the mix. Just crush them. Gotrek and Felix are going to be falling behind a little bit. My cav is now in the back lines, forcing the attention of so many spearmen, halberd units. They're doing their job. Their job right now is just to distract. And Karl Franz goes in with a big Luminarch shot. And Lord Skroak with 0 kills, I think, is going to be completely pushed off the battlefield. This Luminarch is in a beautiful position, by the way. On this hill, has complete command of this entire battlefield. And still the Playclaw not shooting at the value targets. There are great swords, halberdiers, handgunners. All that stuff would be better targets. The Fay Enchantress is in here. She's got her healing magic, of course. I didn't even bother to talk about her. Awaken the Woods on these Blackguard. I actually did a ton of damage there. I'm doing a lot of casting. You know, I'm using my lore of life magic to heal up. But I'm also being pretty offensive at certain points. I think I get a Comet of Casadora somewhere. I may have already done it. Oh, man. How many kills does she have? Because that'll tell me whether or not I did it yet. No, I haven't done it yet. We'll see. We'll see when it lands. My cav are now coming in. We're getting a side charge on these Storm Vermin. Let's slow-mo it real quick. I send in the Knight Errants. We got a rear charge that kind of turns them around. And then I'm going to send my other Knight Errants up and around to get a charge once they're facing in the other direction. And these Knights of the Realm are going to go in. I value them highly because they're more expensive and more unique in terms of they deal with large, whereas the Knights Errant deal with infantry. And I'm going to try and shut down this Plague Claw Catapult. And it still has half of its ammo, so that would be a nice thing to do. Meanwhile, Malekith here is getting dunked on. Karl Franz is getting hurt, but he's still ultimately doing okay. Let's play here. Let's see what's up. Light of Battle. All these units are unbreakable right now. Very interesting. Gonna try and get a heal off. My Trebuchet still shooting. 264 kills, guys. And now it's just shooting into this big blob that they made back here to protect their catapult. I pull back with my Knight Errants. No reason to let them fight the halberds. Alright, let's find where Gotrek and Felix are. I think at some point I was like, man, we got to get some kind of climactic fight going here. We've got to get Gotrek, especially, and here he is with his power mohawk and the axe on his shoulder. He looks like a badass. I'm trying to get him onto this Hydra, because he's the man he's the dwarf, let's say, that's going to take him down. Fay Enchantress there. Felix is here. I wish they gave him some kind of special banner, but it's sometimes hard to see. It's something really cool that he does in animation. When he's fighting, he has his sword out like this, but when he stops or when he retreats, he puts his sword back in its sheath. It's a really cool series of animations, and he's great against infantry. He's barely killed anyone yet, but he's going to get in there now. And we've got our Grail Guardians and our men-at-arms saturated with one another. I'm trying to heal them up, keep them topped off, but they are fighting Blackguard. But I think we've got this game in the bag at this point, and I just need to keep them off of my range tools. You know, bear the brunt of the atrocious fighting with the Blackguard and the Hydra, and just generally keep winning through attrition, because Skroak is gone. Skroak is gone, and Malekith is now fighting in melee with spears and Karl Franz with handgunner support. Bad idea. He's got 2 kills. Man, that feels so bad. So both of our opponents' lords got 0 kills. Had 0 impact on this game whatsoever. Man, that's terrible. There's still a Plague Priest on the field for the Skaven, so they're not without their magic. A lot of spells on them as well. And the assassin is over here doing damage. The Luminarch fired all of its ammo. That's a beautiful thing. And right now we're just kind of pushing everything off the battlefield. We're trying to break this War Hydra. See who's fighting what. I just want to get some good... Oh, wow. Hydra, chill out, man. I'm trying to get a good close-up of Gotrek, but they're so hard to see. There's Felix. Where's the dwarf buddy? It looks like an axe. There it is. Okay, but they're just stuck. These Black Guard are just really protecting the War Hydra. But now that I've got my archers turned on it, we should be fine. Lots of rallying Skaven. Time warp going off. Okay, that'll help in this fight. I mean, the Hargoneth Executioners still exist. I mean, against Spearmen, they'll just chew them up, especially with help from the Assassin, who's using Slippery right now to stay alive. But you can see the balance of power is shifting. I'm using my Knight Errants to chase down routing units. Sometimes it's not a good idea, because sometimes the enemies turn and fight me. Knights of the Realm got chewed up, I think, by some halberds. But all of these handgunners are still online. Light Wizard's still good. Another Awaken the Wood on these Spearmen as they came to try and rejoin the fight. And that's just about it, guys. Everything's going to shatter. There's still some stuff in the back here. Plagueclaw Catapult, almost 300 kills. At the end of the day, probably about 100 of them were peasants. So worth it? Maybe not. If you took away all of our units and just gave us Karl Franz, my Fay Enchantress, and Gotrek and Felix, we could probably beat what's left on the battlefield here if we hugged each other and stayed tight. Just really efficient play. That was a fun game. Check out the after battle report. The Field Trebuchet, 331 kills. These were not nothing kills. I wasn't shooting at Skaven slaves. I was shooting at Storm Vermin. I was shooting at these Black Guard who, amazingly, despite being really peppered before they even got into battle, they lost a ton of health but didn't lose a lot of models. That was the big thing. And Malekith and Skrulk for having all of those spells. I mean, just like probably about 500, 600 gold worth of extra spells on each of them. They got 0 kills. It feels so bad. But like I said, guys, there was lag. Maybe without the lag, these two would have performed better. It's hard to say. But I felt like the lag actually favored them because it gave them more chances to correct their mistakes. So the mistakes of shooting the Plagueclaw Catapults at peasants, for instance, you know, instead of having 5 seconds, 10 seconds to realize what they were doing, they had 20 seconds. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, I think the advantage was in our opponent's favor in that way. And instead of, you know, making a big messy front line that we were able to take advantage of, and let's look at the mortar kills were huge and the Luminarch kills were amazing. And then it gave them more time to fix the things. It gave us time to notice it, but we already noticed it. We were playing pretty fast, and unfortunately I think they were playing kind of slow. But it was a good game still. I appreciate you guys for trying, and playing through lag is a tough thing. Thanks, you know, hugely for sticking around and playing out the game. I didn't get to make as much of the Gotrek, Felix, Fay Enchantress, you know, Grail Guardian's Last Stand idea that I had. I thought that would have been pretty powerful. Like, just the combination of these 4 units, I just can't see what can break that easily in the game, like, at all. You've got anti-large, you've got anti-infantry, you've got healing, you've got a draining effect and an AoE debuff. You've got regeneration on all 3 of these. I mean, they would reach their healing cap and just keep on fighting. I mean, they're amazing. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Goodtalk Gaming. If you're watching this and you enjoyed this video, I hope you consider subscribing or joining my Discord channel. It's a fun place to be. If you'd like to play some subscriber battles or send me some replays, you can do it there. There's a whole channel dedicated to sending me replays, and I do check that pretty much every other day. I check it and download the fights and watch them. So I am active in that way, and if you'd like to be a part of that, you're welcome to. So, all right, guys, that's it. As always, y'all, I will see you in the next one. Take care.